And we're live. Okay. Each day, my commute takes me mid-span to the high-arching Fremont Bridge near downtown Portland, Oregon. From this vantage point, I have a panoramic view of the city skyline. As I look from left to right, the skyline is dotted with tower cranes, looking like a scene from War of the Worlds. My return commute takes me to Vancouver, Washington, where I live. And on every empty parcel of land, there are the beginnings of a residential tract. We currently have a vibrant economy driving demand for construction. This evidence of good economic times should gladden our hearts, right? Well, unfortunately, all this prosperity and the bullish construction market, an alarming concern that has been on the minds of construction leaders for the last 10 years. The problem that has leaders in the construction industry nervous is the huge deficit of skilled tradesmen and the lack of young recruits in the construction trades. According to Joshua Wright, a contributor to Forbes magazine, in 2012, 53% of construction workers in the US were 45 years of age or older, and 18.6% were between the ages of 55 and 64. 66% of the skilled tradesmen are of the ages 45 to 60. Contrast this statistic with the numbers for the overall labor force, where 44% are 45 or older and 15% are in the 55 to 65 range. There is quite a disparity between the overall labor force and the construction labor force. What adds panic to this concern, there are few young recruits entering the construction labor force to replace those workers who are aging out. As this 55% of the workforce eases into their golden years, the effect on the construction labor market will be catastrophic. You may be thinking, this doesn't really concern me. I don't work in the construction industry. They will have to find a solution. If this is your mindset, consider those future painting or roofing projects that you would like to have done. The cost for these projects will become prohibitive, and you will be on a waiting list waiting for months to get the work done. Let me put this into perspective for you. You may remember a few years ago when OPEC put a squeeze on the oil market by limiting the amount of production of barrels of oil to the oil market. This was a tactic to raise the price for a barrel of crude oil. Well, it worked. I can remember fuel prices in the $4 to $5 per gallon range to all American motorists. I remember fuel surcharges by trucking companies for hundreds of dollars on just regular deliveries. And there were fuel surcharges for airline fares. This had a devastating effect on the American economy and was a burden on American consumers. The same rules apply to the labor market. High demand with low supply equals higher labor costs. Throughout America, demand is rising, and the labor market for skilled tradesmen is stagnant or shrinking, depending upon your location. What this translates into is higher construction costs that will be passed on to the consumer, and huge construction delays that will keep projects from being completed on time. In the Northwest, where I live, we have a huge homeless population, and we have a shortage of affordable housing due to skyrocketing costs for new construction. These dilemmas are only going to get worse. According to the Wall Street Journal, the month of August 2015, new home construction topped $36 billion, the highest monthly level or monthly total since October 2007. Came with a downside. There were 676,000 less skilled laborers available nationwide to handle the work as compared to the number of workers in 2007. Due to poor economic conditions from 2008 to 2012, a third of the construction labor force left the industry and never returned. This, coupled with the lack of interest by the millennial generation, has created what will become a labor crisis. We can take steps to help curb the impact of this labor shortage. There have been many leaders in the construction industry clamoring for vocational training available to our high school age citizenry. U.S. News and World Report quotes Mark Edwards, Executive Director of Opportunity Nation, a campaign to increase economic opportunity in the United States. He said, quote, "We've done a disservice to this country by suggesting that there's only one path to success, which is to get a bachelor's degree. There are many good-paying jobs available today that, quite candidly, a four-year Bachelor of Arts degree does not prepare them for," end quote. Georgetown University's Center on Education and the Workforce estimates that by 2020, nearly two-thirds of all jobs will require some sort of post-secondary education or training beyond a high school diploma. This secondary training is not limited to a four-year college degree. We have examples around the world that demonstrate an excellent way to invigorate our skilled trades workforce. In South Africa, for example, all children from the ages of 7 to 15 are required to go to school and be taught traditional subjects. However, after the age of 15, these same students have the option to continue with traditional secondary education or to receive vocational training in schools dedicated to that purpose. In the U.S., we have some outstanding vocational schools that have been producing excellent results for years. The David H. Ponitz Career Technology Center is one such school. Not only does this school offer 14 different vocational options, but the students of this vocational high school outperformed the balance of the school district's state proficiency exams. There has been a trend to build new science, technology, engineering, and math high schools, known as STEM schools, to accommodate the demand for employees in the science and technology sector. We can apply this same standard to our skilled trades. We can build schools to train these students who are not interested in higher education. It will give a new option to those students who are struggling with traditional education and considering dropping out. Something needs to be done to avert disaster. I call for citizens in every community to urge our school districts and our politicians to dedicate funding to vocational training for those that prefer an alternative education. This will require battles with teachers' unions and entrenched school administrators, but we can't back down. This is an issue that will reach into everyone's wallet at some point. We need to get involved today. The more we delay, the greater economic detriment to us all.